We're on our way, we're on our way. We're on our way, we're on our way. How do we get there? I don't know. How do we get there? I don't care. We are on our way to Budapest. We are back with another episode of One Kick from Glory. Arsenal into the Champions League final for the first time in 20 years. Blood fire. 20 years, it's been a long time coming. We've got lots to talk about today. Chelsea are in disarray, big disarray. How's that going to shape up? And of course, the title race, Man City let it slip. David Moyes, did a little favour for his favoured son. And we'll talk about all that in this episode on Kick Glory. I'm here joined by Craig, Matthew.
Hey.
And we're going to start off with the game that is the most freshest in our minds. We're on our way, we're on our way. I've been singing that in my head all day today, people. Arsenal versus Atletico Madrid, Champions League semi-final, second leg at the Emirates. I'm going to start with you, Craig, because you got there bright and early. You got involved in all the festivities. Talk us through the pre-match feel, and then we're going to bounce around about the game itself. What was it like getting there early at the Emirates?
I got there earlier and the stadium was already packed outside. And they had all the shout out to the Ashburton army. They had the red flares. They made it like, you know, if you go to like Istanbul, like Istanbul derby, that kind of style of derby, like proper, like fans were on it, they were singing. As soon as the Atletico Madrid coach came in, they got abused. They were getting dog abused. And then when Arsenal came in, they were cheering. Arsenal got escorted by the police, came through, the Emirates came through. When they came through, they were getting cheers. We were singing, we were laughing, having a joke, recording the pre, they were singing North London Forever, singing all the songs. It's the greatest time I've been at the Emirates. Like, that atmosphere going in. So normally when I go to the Emirates, I don't go to the Emirates that early. But yesterday I thought, let me go to the Emirates a bit earlier today. I don't know, sometimes go early for a change. Got there early, best decision I made in my life. Going there, seeing the atmosphere. It was amazing. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it definitely was special. It's one thing that pre-match the club had reached out via the fan groups to tell the fans be there for 5:30 to welcome in the coach. They said don't bring any flares, don't bring any of that stuff. We didn't bring flares, but some fans did bring the red smoke. So we're just like, we're gonna make an atmosphere. And I think, like, even listening to like the post-match interviews from players, the coach, I've heard Bukayo on CBS, I've heard Mikel's post-match, I've watched all of the post-match interviews. And he was saying, and the players were saying as well, it's like, this is probably the best atmosphere I've ever had at the Emirates. Even Nacho Monreal, who was there in the stands, was talking about how, like, just that, the way how things were pre-match is something that, unlike anything ever seen before or experienced before at the Emirates. And I think that really set the tone for what we saw afterwards, which was a team that were hungry and ready for it. And I want to get your take. Did you watch the game?
No, I was at work.
It was at work. So I do want to get your take in terms of like the result and the impact on it. Obviously, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty a little bit, but I'll just jump forward a bit. There's a lot being said about the team. There's a lot been said about the manager. There's a lot been said about some players, and I really have to shout out Omri in this when they interviewed Bukayo at the post-match on CBS, and you know he asked Bukayo to be a bit open about some of what he's been facing this season. And Bukayo didn't really want to get drawn into stuff. He didn't really want to say anything, but I think he was alluding to, and I could infer the levels of disrespect that's been leveled towards him this year, and how fans and media pundits alike have been talking about him, downplaying him. He's our best player for a reason. But how do you look at this result as a whole and what it means for the team?
Massive result, man. Massive result. 20 years in the making from your last European conquest. You know, various near finishes, especially over the last, 6-7 years. You know, been so close, and finally working towards what you as fans have been wanting for a very, very long time. Players know it. You guys know it. You're going into, and you know the funny thing is, right? You're going to be probably going into this as the underdog. And as someone who's experienced that, that's a good thing, because it means that there's maybe a slight underestimation of what you guys are going to be doing. Because this was a semi-final of the defences. The other one is full of the goals. Right now, you saw in the first leg between them two, absolute cracker. There was more goals in that than there was in just both your games. That was one game. And even just the fact that pedigree for the PSG, they've recently won. Bayern Munich have obviously won. You're going into this where, it's been 20 years. You know that. The players know that. Everyone knows that. So going into that, just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it going into it. At the end of the day, it's another final, it's another opportunity. Regardless of what happens, it's been a very good season. A very, very, very good season, especially in this running as well. So, yeah, it would have been nice to see Saka be a bit more vocal about how he kind of felt, because, you know, it's like he wears his club on his shoulders. He's been with it since forever. So he already knows what that feeling was from 20 years ago. I don't think he probably wouldn't have been old enough, but he knows, sort of thing. So, and especially with the World Cup at stake, well, you know, going to the World Cup and things like that, there's so much going through in his mind, so, and any footballer's mind. So it's an interesting time to be. So in 3 weeks' time, we'll find out if he can cross that line and get destiny.
That's true. We've got a lot to play for between now and then. Obviously, the league is still, it's in our hands, and we've done a really good job to make it in our hands, and we've got to do what we need to do to get over the line there. Obviously, there's a lot of conversation with the Champions League now, and we'll see who we've got to play in the final. At the moment, PSG are ahead on the night, so we'll see how that tie ends up. But I think, you know, as a fan, it's such an exciting time. Like, it's been a long time since we've been in this position to be, because we've competed for the last couple of years, but it feels like all the pieces are finally in place. And I think one of the things that everyone was saying that really helped contribute to the atmosphere of last night was, of course, this team selection, picking the same team from the weekend. We beat Fulham at home, Myles, Lewis-Skelly in midfield. And in fact, when he got taken off in the second half, just hearing the whole stadium in unison singing 49, 49 Lewis-Skelly, and there was like even clips of his mum and dad together just like clapping away, so proud of him. And it's been a really hard season for him.
100%.
You know, last year, if you were to ask a fan at the start of the season, what's one player that's going to be a breakout star and going to continue on and be in the World Cup squad, his name would have been first on your lips. And in fact, he's barely played this year. He's not played much at left back. When Nketiah came in, a lot of us thought, okay, that's a good sign. That means he's going to get the midfield chance. And it's barely come. It's only come now in the final sort of quarter of the season. He's got the opportunity now to play in a position which, if you knew him from youth level football, you knew that's the place where he should have been. And he dominated in much a similar vein to how he dominated against Real Madrid. And I think that is one thing I'll give Arteta credit for. It's a thing which has been a detriment as well, where a player might have a good game in one match and he plays in the following game. It's not always been the right fit. But I think last night he got it right with the selection. But Craig, how impressed were you with Myles Lewis-Skelly, and especially the manager for rewarding him for a good performance?
I thought Arteta gave Myles Lewis-Skelly tough love this season. I think he doesn't want it to get to his head. A lot of players get chances that are young, and then it gets to their head, and their ego gets out of control. I'm not saying he's got a bad ego or anything. Don't.
Yeah.
I'm saying that Arteta's trying to ground him a bit, like he's doing with Dalman, like he's doing with Wanieri. Ground him a bit, like tell him, listen, you're a future of this club, but you're gonna have to earn your minutes and learn from other players as well. So he's learning from Declan Rice in training, learning from Zubimendi, learning from all these players. And I think it's good for him. I think it's good for him that he might not go to the World Cup this year, because he'll have a rest this summer, come back fresh next season, and he'll be an even better player. And he's showing it now. 2 games in midfield. I thought he was man of the match against Fulham last week, to be honest with you, on the weekend. And he was man of the match from yesterday. I know Declan Rice got it, but the way how he can break the lines. And one thing I like about him as well, he doesn't play it sideways backwards. Yesterday, he's playing 1-2s, playing it, releasing it, bang, 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 bang. And he's trying to, when he gets the ball, he's very positive on the ball. A lot of young players would be scared, but he's playing fearless. He like gets on the ball, like he's been playing for 20 years on the ball, like a Rolls Royce. Get the ball, drive. He knows when to get into position. Say Declan Rice out of position, not a lot, but he always knows to get into the right position. Yeah. So, and he never hides. That's what I like about my midfield. If I'm a midfield player, I see midfield players hiding games, don't want the ball, not sharing for the ball. That's a bit of a criticism on Zubimendi. Sometimes he goes hiding in games that he doesn't want to show for the ball.
Yeah.
Lewis-Skelly will show for the ball, get the ball. Even if he doesn't get the ball, doesn't get frustrated. He makes a move, wait for the next one, gets it, looks up, plays a forward pass. And any young player out there, watch Lewis-Skelly's game and you'll learn a lot from how to play in midfield. Young players, playing centre mid, you'll learn a lot. It's all about patience, timing, and dedication. You got them 3 and the right application as well. He could have been sulking all season saying, oh, I'm not playing in the team. Nothing came in the media of him sulking, You know, some players, when they're not playing, they will say, oh, I'm going to have to leave the club.
Yeah,
None of that came
yeah.
out. Credit to him and credit to his family as well. His mum and his dad, his grandmother, grounded. He said, you know what? I'm not in the squad, but I'm going to work hard, and prove to the manager that I deserve to be in the squad. And he's done his job. So shout out Lewis-Skelly, man. 49er, man.
Yeah, he's done his job, and I think that's the thing that, like, now, I think even one of the things Arteta said, which I was really impressive, is when he went to the squad and said, look, I'm keeping the same team as the weekend to the players that didn't get a chance to play or to start in that match. A lot of them were like, no problem, boss, give them a big hug, we're ready whenever you need to call on us. And that's a big one, because when I think about the players who didn't make the starting 11 for this game, Hincapié is a big one. You could argue, with how he's defended in Calafiori's absence, definitely a player you'd want to start, especially if the thought process was to nullify Atletico Madrid's attacking potential the other way. Right back was a big question mark as well. As much as we love Ben White, and I love the fact that he went back to the Ben White that we know, the standards that we expect from him. He's been a bit shaky this season when he's played. So the question of Mosquera in for him is a big and a reasonable one. You've got Zubimendi again in midfield, team again, and I think I don't know if it was you, one of the fans next to us in the stadium was saying that he'd expected, against a Spanish team, you probably thought Zubimendi would come in, play in the pivot with Rice, because the Spanish team, he knows how they play to kind of counteract their way of playing. Another player that could argue could have been in there, should have been in there. On the left, Martinelli could have argued, say, Champions League is me. In fact, I scored against these lot earlier in the season.
Odegaard.
Odegaard, as a captain, Champions League semi-final, you're back fit. There's an argument to be had. He could have thought maybe I might get a chance from the start, but I think the manager made the right choice in picking the players, and also it sent a signal to us as fans. Once we got over the initial shock of the lineup, because it was a surprise, we're like, oh, okay. Immediately we're thinking, we're going for it. Because that's how I felt.
Yeah.
I'm like, actually, we're going for it. Because when I look at the two wide players, and even I was saying to someone in the fans next to me, I said, look, if you're starting Ben White and you're starting Calafiori as your right backs, that to me is not screaming, we're looking to defend this game. You know what I mean? I'm not saying they can't defend, but if you're thinking about who's our defensive right backs or defensive players you'd play there, it's Mosquera and it's Hincapié, because they lock things down. Now Hincapié's got a great cross on him as well. Mosquera, attacking wise, not that great. But if you see them two starting, we're looking to contain the team. So the fact he went to the attacking players gave us so much more. And then we got to see that axis of Saka and Ben White back again. And, that was really good. One player I do want to shout out, actually, before I get into him, I think, obviously, with the title race with the season, there's a lot to be said about, Man City and what they've done and how they are. And I guess from a perspective of Arsenal coming into the weekend prior, we'd lost the game against Man City at the Etihad. There's all that conversation about bottle this, bottle that, and that silly fan with his stupid bottle. You ain't laughing no more, are you, son? You ain't laughing now, are you, son? You had the bottle in your pocket on Monday night against Everton. We all saw it. And you lot choked. But we're going to come to that one a little bit. Just hold on. We're coming for your head top. But how much do you think it says for an Arsenal team that knew that we obviously had the two games over Man City? We won the first one, 1-0 at home. Not the most exciting win, but we won it anyway. We
1-1.
No, we won 1-0 at home.
When?
This
season?
Newcastle game.
Oh, yeah.
Newcastle.
The most recent one.
So we won the Newcastle game, 1-0 at home. Arguably should have scored more, but 1-0 to the Arsenal rings out. We love that sound. You're going into the game against Fulham. This will be our second game before Man City have their first game. The onus is on us to make that gap and increase that points gap between us and them. How impressed were you with the fact that Arsenal were able to go into that game and not just get the business done, but in such a way that at the halftime whistle, the way the fans were cheering, you would have thought we won a trophy. And it was just half time. But how impressed were you with the fact that we had an assignment to do and we did the job and put so much pressure on Man City, which obviously we'll get into that in a little bit.
I think it worked because you saw in that game against Everton, it looked like a thing where it's like, all right, cool, they score first and they go and do their thing. As we know, that's not how it panned out, and that's put the advantage firmly. Let's say you've got two fingers not on the handles, on like the bottom, on like the base. Let's say you got 2 fingers on the base. So, and I think a lot of the way that people have been talking right now is, you know, playing for corners. Whereas this time certainly in the last 2 games, like you said, it's like, oh, they can actually, and even some people at work were talking about at work today, it was like, they're actually playing. So it's just a case of they can play. It's just knowing when to play, not just simply just going out there and throwing it all to the wind. Like you tried before, it didn't work. Why? Because you knew that chasing pack was coming behind and you were going to peter out at some point. You've now learned from those mistakes over time where it's like, you know what, even though they're ahead of us temporarily, it's still very much kind of, you know, in our hands. All the games, we've said it, we've both said it, the games you've had from the moment they were that close, you had the more winnable games. You had the easier kind of running. And so far, that's now running true. And that's still the fact that when you played them in the Etihad and, you know, you lost. But it didn't matter because after that, it was still all on you. So going out there and actually playing and, you know, playing well and winning well, you know, the Newcastle game, that was the dig out. That was the grind out. Fulham was the fun one. Fulham was just like, well, it was just like, cool, yeah, here we go. We know what we got to do. Is a handful of games left. We've got so much at stake. Let's now show. People are asking the question of what can we do? Let's go out there and actually do it. So you know what? And you do it the best thing. And the best thing is you're doing it at the right time. You're doing it at the right time. You win ugly early, and when it comes, when you got to shine, you're doing it exactly when you need it. When your players are fit, when your players have the nous or what to do, you know, you're putting in at the right time. And teams that win trophies, they do exactly that.
Yeah, that is very true. And I think that's the important thing when you look at the arc of the season is you always want to stay in touch and distance to whatever it is that you're aiming for. It'd be titles or it'd be trophies. And then make that transition when it's time to go in for the kill and get it over the line. And we've definitely done that this year. And that's been a testament to the coaching staff, to the players. And one player I want to highlight before we move on to talking a bit more about Manchester City. Oh dear, Pep. Oh dear. Is our number 14, Victor Gyokeres. I was so impressed with him yesterday. I can't understate it. I really wanted this signing to work out. First of all, mainly because of his celebration. Because I think it's such a cold celebration, the mask, you know, I love it. But secondly, because it's the first time we've bought an actual out-and-out goal scorer since Aubameyang. We've not signed a goal scorer since then. Every other striker we've brought in is like a projecty, maybe thing. Lacazette, there was question marks about him before we signed him. We signed him. I liked him for the vibes, but he didn't get enough goals for us. Prior to that, you look at Van Persie, but he wasn't prolific when we signed him. He developed into one of the best strikers in the Premier League and then left us to join the worst team that he could have possibly joined. But other than that, it's just lots of potentials. You got lots of, you know, we had people like Giroud who, if he had a prolific gene in his body, we would have done more in terms of title races and winning stuff. But again, still had a great career, still had won many things, and I can't knock him for that. But for us, he wasn't all of that. He did a job. But if you were to tell me to go back in time, if I could have told Arsene Wenger, don't sell Van Persie and don't sign Giroud, I would have done that every day of the week. But we're here now, and Gyokeres, to me, last night was showing elements to his game that I've been slowly seeing improvement for, but it felt like all the improvement came in a flood, and it started in Fulham and it continued on last night. And one of the things I've always felt from all the criticism about him in the early season, all criticism which I think is valid and fair, first touch not being the best, wrestles too much with defenders, doesn't move enough, doesn't create enough separation to create chances for himself. I think last night he did a job for the team. I don't think he lost the amount of times he was able to bring the team able to play the ball up to him and he was able to bring it down and control it. It shocked me. Then I was like, this is the guy. He's found another gear. So many occasions, and the only times he didn't keep it is when they fouled him, and the ref wouldn't give it. But aside from that, if he won the ball, he kept it. And it wasn't just that he was keeping the ball. The layoffs, Matthew. I'm saying one time touch layoffs, little flicks around the corner. It was like looking at positive Giroud. I know I just slandered them, but hear me out, people. It was like looking at positive Giroud because he was laying the ball off, he was getting players into play. Him and Saka are really on each other's wavelength now in a really good way, and I'm excited to see how that plays out. It's good. How impressed were you with our number 14?
He was our best player yesterday on the pitch. The guy was holding, and Matthew, the way he was holding off 2 defenders. Every time Raya kept on doing long balls to him, every time the long ball came to him, boom,
Touch.
hold him off, boom, lay it off, every single time.
That's what strikers do.
And he got a lot of free kicks as well yesterday. His back must be killing him today, though. The amount of kicks he got in his back yesterday. The defenders kept on wrestling him. Every time he got the ball. Yeah. But to be fair, I think when he came at the start of the season, he had no pre-season. He was not fit. And you know what I think the turnaround was for him? Him firing Sweden to the World Cup without Isak. Him firing, after he fired Sweden to the World Cup, his confidence just went up to another level. I know he got dropped against Man City. He was burning. He was angry for that game. And he came on so late in the game. After that, he said, "No, Havertz, you're holding bench. You're holding bench, Havertz. I'm starting every game now." And after that Man City game, he started every game and done well for us.
Yeah.
So credit to Gyokeres for improving and improving all the doubters in the Premier League, the so-called media people in the Premier League wrong. 21 goals a season in his first season in all competitions.
All competitions, yeah.
It's a good return.
And it's still got enough time, like you said, in the stadium. It's got enough time to get up to 25 and 30.
Yeah, he has.
You know, so it's enough games for him. We'll see what he's got for us. Let's talk about Man City. Very strange performance on them against Everton.
Not really.
Why not really?
Because everyone expect, man. I did a podcast just before the game. I said that Everton will have something for them.
No, I agree. That was my prediction. I've been saying, for me, the games where they're going to slip up are the teams that are fighting for Europe. It's Everton, Brentford, Bournemouth. I've been believing those 3 teams are going to have something for them because they're the ones that, maybe Aston Villa, if depending on how things go with the Europa League semi. But I thought those 3 teams in particular are going to be the ones that are going to really dent their charge. To me, I'm not looking at it from an Everton perspective. Everton did their job. Everton should have had 3 points.
They got robbed.
Bar Doku
I
and that.
do not understand. And again, it's not even about the Doku goals. Because you can't do anything about them goals. Those are just wonder strikes. You could argue closing down a bit quicker. There shouldn't have been 2 extra minutes.
No.
It went to 90 and 6. The game should have been done. It went to 96 and 30. Should have been done. It went to 90. We're in the 97th minute and Doku's goal gets hit in. And then we still played another 45 seconds. So if Man City had got... And they actually went on another attack.
You know the funny thing, Clive, sorry to interrupt you. The funny thing is, Mike Oliver's got history in Man City. He did it to us last season. The 2-2 game at Etihad. 98
I don't want to
minutes.
say it.
We're 2-1 up, and he let John Scholes. He technically should have blown the whistle. Let John Scholes score the equaliser.
Because
so he's got history.
He tried to claim us for the substitutions, but having watched the game live, I don't think they took that much time for the substitutions or the injuries. Everything was wrapped up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I think it's unfair. Now, that being said, great result for Arsenal. Because it's out of their hands. Prior to that game, it was in both of our hands, and it's who scores most wins.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't matter what they do. Their results don't matter anymore. As long as we do our job and win everything going forward, they can do what they want. They can score 10 goals if they want to against whoever. They can batter teams. Who cares? Because we have a points gap now. We've restored it. We got to do our job against West Ham. 5 points, we got to do our job against West Ham and keep that.
That's a nice cushion.
Keep that cushion. But yeah, that's what I was saying about their performance. It just surprised me because I would have thought they would have been better.
Steamrolled.
Yeah,
That
when
the
they
Man
went
City
ahead,
of old.
I thought they would have held on and done more. So what do you think went wrong with them?
This has happened a few times this season. This has happened, and that's why the points gap has stayed how it is. Not necessarily to do with you guys. If you got a win ugly, putting a 2 out of 10 performance, but you grind out that win, whatever happens, you've got the win. And I'm pretty sure you've seen games where that has happened, where we were terrible, but we won. Same thing with and I've said it many times, for any team winning a trophy, Premier League or whatever, you win terrible, but you win. They've had more than a fair few games, and some of them actually turned up in defeats. The game against West Ham, that was one you'd expect where they do it a little bit more. The one against Everton, and the thing is, this is a different Everton from the Everton from last season that's fighting relegation. The new stadium, getting a whole new bunch of players in, and I think also I know he didn't play, but having the signing of Jack Grealish in there, a flair player that I haven't had for a very long time at Everton, has given them the kick up the bum, and then the revitalization as well. Plus David Moyes is back there. Like you replace David Moyes with David Moyes. And they've got a decent team. Let's be real. They've got a decent team for a club that has been in the doldrums for a long, long time and finally getting, some kind of deserved progress over time. And they just weren't at the rate, and they just weren't really there. It's a combination of things that I think that Pep's almost checking out. They've got a lot of players, more players that are leaving now. Bernardo's going. I think Doku might be going as well.
Sure about Doku.
No, not Doku. I think, is it Ake maybe going? They got a lot. Ake's going. They got a lot of players there. They're all stalwarts. Are slowly falling one by one. Bernardo Silva is going to be a big one. De Bruyne is proving John Stones. Well. A lot of their guys core to their previous success is now starting to fall apart. And Liverpool are feeling it now. Man City are starting to feel it. So it almost feels as if their big period of dominance is very slowly, but very obviously coming to an end. And it's going to be a key part of almost like replacing them. They've got a big Galactico squad in there. James Trafford got replaced with Donnarumma just like that. And after all that hard work he did for Burnley, after a few Premier League games being like, yeah, sorry, he's got to come in. He's got to come in. Champions League winner, Euro winner. You're not going to necessarily say no to that. But yeah, they've had a few odd results where you're just left scratching your head being like, wow, that didn't go the way. Even the game against Southampton in the FA Cup. Yeah, they weren't exactly at the rate. They got the win.
That's about.
But we could be really looking at a Southampton FA Cup, and they had a great run. So yeah, they've had a fair few results. But as long as you're not doing that, or the competing team isn't doing that, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, like you said yourself, they can score as many goals as they want. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, everything's shifted now. So from our point of view, got West Ham away at the weekend. So we play before Man City do play again.
Man City
play first, sorry, and we play second. For us, whatever that first result happens, it doesn't really make a difference. However, if Man City drop points again,
who are they playing?
Brentford at home.
At the Etihad, right?
Yeah.
If they drop points again, oh boy.
Title could be wrapped up by Sunday.
But those are two potentially. I think after this, who do you have after that? Who do you have after
Burnley.
Burnley's our last home game.
So Burnley done.
So Burnley, then it's
Crystal Palace last game of the season.
So this weekend coming up with these games is going to be a difference between 2 fingers on the base versus 3 fingers on the handle.
Yeah, because they will still have 1 extra game to play.
Yeah.
To make up the 2 in hand. But if they lose and Arsenal win, 8 points gap.
Isn't that?
It will be the Burnley game will then just be the title decider.
Mm-hmm. And
the confirmation match.
West Ham technically are still in a survival.
It's going to be hard against West Ham.
Both the games are going to be hard.
Yeah.
Both the games are going to be hard.
I think that for what we want to achieve this season, we just have to beat them. And I think that's as simple as that. It can't be a case of we go there and it's not like, I personally don't want to send West Ham down.
No.
But Hammers fans, love you guys, but we got bigger fish to fry. If we could draw and it not affect our own ambition, I wouldn't say consider it. I'd think about it. I'd still say no, but I would at least consider it. I'd think about it. But we got to get the title. You guys can still do Spurs. Don't worry about that. I still think you guys can get above them and get out of that situation. But yeah, it's a crazy one. It's a crazy one. Let's talk about Chelsea.
Do we have to?
Don't have to.
I mean, because,
How do you feel about everything? I mean, I saw an interesting podcast on John Obi Mikel. I'm not his biggest fan. I can't stand the guy. But every now and again, he says something that I'm like, oh yeah, I hear what you're saying. He was talking about the state of the club. And he was like, it's just can't believe how it's gotten to where it is. And he was saying how people at the club are not happy with him saying the things he's saying, but he's going to say them anyway because the truth. Like, it's embarrassing where Chelsea are. And it is.
It's because he's come from a time where this would never be a thing. He's come from a time where under, with the players around him, with the expectation around, and even with that crazy owner, this wouldn't have fly. I said it earlier today, where you can say what you like about Roman. It doesn't matter. You can say it to me. It doesn't really affect me in a way. But he had a standard and he knew what he wanted. And what he wanted was to compete and to win. This is also the same guy that fired any guy that won, the two managers that won Champions League, he still sacked. The manager that put us on the map, he still sacked.
That's true.
Twice. He's top goal scorer in the history of the club. He's sacked, okay? Felipe Scolari, experienced Brazilian man, sacked. Like, the guy was not afraid to do what he needed to do to win. And he invested in the club. You can see that he cared of the club. We never dropped out of the top 10 at any point. And even when we did, we back winning the league next season. We had something to kind of show. Whereas in the last 4 or so many years, this company coming in doesn't seem to want to, well, we are still winning trophies. And I think that's just the expectation that the fans had and some of the players had from the previous regime. But the ownership don't seem to know exactly what it is that they want. Are you going for sustainability with these long contracts? Are you trying to establish something with, starting with younger players and going up? Are you getting a new stadium? Are we moving? Are you just trying to appeal to the fans that you want, which is something that for a football club, never mind my own, is something that I don't want, I keep repeating myself about this. When Frank Lampard took over after Hazard left and we were using the younger players just for that whole season, there was a good vibe around the club because it's a chance for the club to kind of grow again with the young talent and deservedly show, what they can do. That was a great time. If that's what you want, great. And I think a lot of fans want to go for. Obviously, we want to win, but we go for that. But we don't know because you don't do it. You're not doing it right. That's for the owners. I can go on about the owners. The players have also got to take some of that smoke too. And that's a problem where at least a player like Mikel around, they took responsibility for their actions. They held themselves accountable every single time. They had fights in locker rooms after results because people were not pulling their weight. And I'm not necessarily saying that's how things should be done now. That's a very archaic way of looking at things. I think you can put your point across without getting to that point of thing. But the reason why I say that is because, look, it works.
Yeah.
Something you need to figure out as players in there, you need to figure out a way to come out of this lull because you can't just keep on downing tools. I mean, you've got a great result in the FA Cup semi-final, which I'm convinced we're going to win because I think that's what we're going for. You could hit Man City at a pretty vulnerable time as well. And if the one thing that Chelsea prides itself on is trophies, which will again mask bigger problems, because the last time we won the FA Cup masked big problems anyway, but at least I was under an owner that knew how to kind of flip it around. This ownership, for next year, who knows what could be the state of the club? Who knows? Because these players, the vast majority of players they've given up on the league. The owners don't seem to have a damn clue. That poor young kid against Forest, for nothing. He got himself clattered for nothing. If anything, Derry, young debut, if anything, we got worse. I don't blame the interim because he's just there for a thing. And he said himself that first 15 minutes was diabolical. Thank God I weren't watching it on the day we saw. We saw something way better, which is why probably I'm not as frustrated as I am. So thanks for going to do what he did on the Monday.
We saw Michael Jackson, people, for those who are wondering.
Yes.
Go see it.
And, definitely go and see it. And F1 came back.
Yes.
Even though it was a pretty boring race for majority of the time, which, seems
be that way for a while until the other teams figure out the engine issues.
And Miami's just not a good track. But, yeah, it's true. It's very true. But, yeah, listen, flip the FA Cup, which I'm convinced we're going to win anyway. And then at least, because this club thrives on cup competition, mainly European competition, because that's our bread and butter right now. And I'm not saying we go ahead and win it, but it'll be a laughing stock if we win a Champions League season. An absolute laughing stock. I don't think we'd even make it out of the bottom stock. Genuinely, I don't think we would. And with the players we have, I think we can get to the quarters with a slight push.
The thing is, it's not even a case of it being a laughing stock. I think the reality is that the way how Blueco have financed Chelsea, if you don't get into Champions League, the numbers do not look good. I know they posted losses the other day of around 260 million pounds, which some people are like, okay, which I think is the most losses in a single season the club has posted. But actually, the losses you have actually sustained is close to 700 million since they've taken over. And those are due to get paid back soon.
Yeah.
So if you don't get into Europe, I don't know where the revenue's going to come from, but even if you do get into Europe, UEFA have very strict financial profit and loss rules. So even if you get into Champions League, you may still get fined anyway for being in breach. But it's almost like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you don't get in there, I don't know what the future looks like, but it ain't looking good at all.
I think that's where the apathy is coming from, because at the end of the day, it's just like, it's almost a case of let's just see what happens and just kind of go from there. But the fans that are loyal to this cause, like myself, are still going to be there, because it doesn't matter. Like, you know, we're here for the football, we're here for the club, and clearly these guys have come in, haven't grasped what it means. They're running it so. I mean, and I know the way that football's evolved the last how many years is now a business. And I'm well aware it has been a business, but the football came first. Right, and depending on your owner, the football always did come first. Look at Coventry. After 25 years, they invested in the club. The football came first, and that's what's got them to where they are. I'm not saying we're nowhere near fighting the leagues, but at least have some kind of stability and go into what it is you want to go for. You know, so many people have so many questions to ask, but also the players do too, because the players we have. There's no way we should be since March, haven't won a single game, barely scored a goal. That's the worst part. I don't mind losing. You take losing with a pinch of salt. But, you know, you lose trying. Busting an absolute gut. And you know what? We'd be annoyed, but it's like they fought hard. So if that 3-1 on the Monday was a better performance, or at least do it for the young boy, that would be fine. But we didn't. And it's just general apathy for a lot. If you talk to a lot of fans right now, it's apathy right now, because no one really knows. We've got Liverpool this weekend. 2 clubs going in the wrong direction.
Yep.
It's going to be a very kind of interesting. What's it, Saturday or Sunday?
Weekend.
Depending on. That's normally a big screen TV game. I might watch on my iPad. It's like, you don't deserve to be watching my big old TV, man. You're not good. You ain't Ultra HD now. You ain't good enough. I might be tempted to watch it in standard. Yeah. But yeah, flip the FA Cup.
Yeah, it's a big few weeks coming up for Chelsea. Like I said, the numbers are not looking good from an accounting point of view, and you need to sort it out fast. I want to talk about the teams that might make it up. Obviously, we've talked a lot about a team that might go down, and right now it's a straight shootout between West Ham and Tottenham. Tottenham, I think, are in the ascendancy so far. They're out of the bottom 3. So keep going, I guess. But on that note, who do you want to make it up through the playoffs? Because we've got Ipswich and we've got Coventry as the 2 promoted teams that have made it to conventional route. Who do you want to see come up from the playoffs, Craig?
Derby. I like Derby.
Yeah.
I think I like an underdog. I feel that since Southampton in the Premier League, they always give us problems, so I don't want to see them again.
Championship bullies.
Yeah, Championship bullies.
Millwall.
Millwall.
Needs to be said.
They rip out the Emirates seats, I know.
Mate, they rip out their own seats.
Derby, it would be good to see Derby back in the Premier League, because when I was young growing up, Derby were in the Premier League under Jim Smith, the great Jim Smith, and they had some great players like Paulo One-Shot, Dean Sturridge, if you know, you know, a couple of Matt Poom. He played for Arsenal as well.
Mark Poom, yeah.
So they had Stanic. Was it Stanic? Yeah, he played for them. Another guy called that. Derby had some good players back in the day. Played for them, great players. I think Tom Holliston played for Derby as well.
He did.
Came through the academy.
Yeah, he did.
Done well for them as well. So Derby always, and I think
Hull.
Will Hughes.
Will Hughes, yeah.
Will Hughes from Crystal Palace. So I knew a few of their players who came through the academy and done well. And if they get promoted, it'd be good for Ryan Brewster to, you know, come back to the Premier League. All the potential, the bad injuries that suffered his career. So it'd be nice for him to get back to the Premier League and prove once again how good how he can revive his career. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's why I want Derby to get promoted.
What about you, Matthew? Who's on your wish
I'm
list?
going for Derby as well. I think, you know what? I think it's also going to be, it's been from the last time we're in the Premier League where they had that 11 points. You know, if they were to come up, I think they'd have a point to prove to be like, you know, that's not what we were, because that whole promotion saga, I don't know if you remember, was a very weird affair when they got promoted. It's almost as if they knew behind the scenes that this is going to be an absolute disaster, because so much was going on behind the scenes with the manager, this and that, and getting in all these players, and it came to absolute nothing. And you know, they've had tricky times like over the last, you know, nearly 20 years. You know, so Hull we've had in the Premier League enough times. Southampton we've had enough, you know, a few times. Millwall, well, you know, it'd be nice to see Derby back. It would be nice to see, because look, Coventry, Derby, Leeds, Villa, Everton, and Forest potentially in the Premier League. Old school's coming back. Heritage is coming back.
Forest Derby. That derby's gonna be amazing, man.
Oh yeah,
That is going to be a nice
I think it's the is it East Midlands derby?
East Midlands derby.
East Midlands, yeah. East
And they
Midlands.
play for a trophy. Whoever wins both games to get a trophy at the end of the game.
Yeah.
This happened in the Championship, I remember. So
It's a shame that Wrexham didn't make it, but you know
next
what?
season they'll make it, and Wrexham will be promoted next season.
Seventh, finishing like only just outside the playoffs, I think is
Great achievement.
it's a mammoth effort. And you know what? They only just, but you know what? Fair play to them. Fair play.
I back Wolves to get promoted next season as well. I think Wolves will come straight back up. Rob Edwards has done an amazing job. I know you couldn't keep them up, but I think they're going to smash the champion next season. I feel they'll get rid of the players they don't want, and they'll bring in fresh talent, and they've got some good young players in their academy. They'll go up next season. I back them to go up and I back Wrexham to be finished second, and Wolves to finish first next season.
So, I mean, a lot can happen. You know, all it takes is a couple of well-placed loans, and a team that's not in contention for a long time could make it. And who knows? It might be QPR's year next year.
Hopefully.
Or Preston. You never know. You know, you can't rule these things out. The Championship is one of those leagues where you really can't predict it. You think it's going to go one way, and it swings really quickly. So
Definitely.
it will definitely be very fun to see
Maybe
how
Watford,
that all goes.
Maybe Watford could get promoted.
Watford could come back as well.
Oh, that'd be so handy.
So that could be quite good. But we shall see. We shall see. I think we'll call it a wraps there for tonight. Thank you all for listening. Obviously, a lot to play for this season. Some teams are going through a really tough time. Some teams are on the verge of history. Other teams need their 115 charges to get dropped in their account as soon as possible. Manchester City. We'll see you all next time.
Peace.
Yeah.